This video will go over solving equations with half-angle formulas. So this is number 4 from Unit S, Concept 7. And we have our problem: cosine of x over 2 minus sine x equals 0. And we have a half angle in this problem, which is cosine x over 2. So, and that formula is positive or negative, the square root of 1 plus cosine x over 2. So we plug that in, and we move sine x to the other side. So now we have the square root of 1 plus cosine x over 2 equals sine x. Now the only way to get rid of a square root is to square it, and our answer is going to be positive no matter what, because anything positive squared is positive and anything negative squared becomes positive. So what we have next is 1 plus cosine x of 2 equals sine squared x. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can either multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of the 2 on the left side, or you can just simply cross multiply it, and that's what I did in this case. So we have 2 sine squared x equals 1 plus cosine of x, and looking back to Unit Q, our trigonometric identities is stated that sine squared x equals 1 minus cosine squared x. So we plug that in. 2 times 1 minus cosine squared of x equals 1 plus cosine of x, and when we distribute the 2, it becomes 2 minus 2 cosine squared of x equals 1 plus cosine of x. So I'm going to move everything to the right side where the 1 plus cosine x is. That way the cosine squared of x, the coefficient of that will be positive, because that's much easier to work with. So I subtract 2 and add 2 cosine squared x to both sides, and we get 0 equals 2 cosine squared x plus cosine x minus 1 when we combine like terms. And this looks familiar because now we can factor this using the x formula. So two terms have to add up to cosine x but multiply to negative 2 cosine squared x, and those two terms are 2 cosine x and negative cosine x. So now we use the rectangle method to find our factors, and when we do so, we have cosine x plus 1 times 2 cosine x minus 1. Now we use the zero product property and we set these equal to 0. So cosine x plus 1 equals 0 and 2 cosine x minus 1 equals 0. We get cosine x alone on both sides, and now we can use our unit circle to find these values, and the only place where cosine is negative 1 on the unit circle is 180 degrees, and over here the only places where cosine is positive 1/2 is at 60 degrees and 300 degrees. So our final answers are 180 degrees, 60 degrees, and 300 degrees.